Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk. Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off sale.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Your Dark Companion. We are glad to have you with us. We're going live right now, so if you're consuming this live, kudos. We're into that. If you're not, you're going to watch it at a later date. That's fine, too. We don't care when you watch us. Just watch us. That's really all we ask for from you. Today is the 4th of November, and today we're going to be joined by a very, very interesting cat that I met a few years ago when I was, I believe our paths first crossed when I was doing this sort of thing at The Athletic, and you were there. You were covering the Rangers for The Athletic then, I believe. Am I right about this?
So it was actually pre-athletic. It was for that very small period of time where I had the upset.
Hell yeah.
And I asked you to write like a guest column thing for that, and you wrote that for me. But I feel
was
like
a
we had maybe,
subscriber.
yeah, I feel like maybe we had met at a Rangers game or something before that.
Maybe so.
Y'all probably met at a concert or something. Like, y'all had to have crossed paths before.
There are people in life
all that.
where eventually you're just like, yeah, but I had to have just always known them.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were meant to be friends.
Well, that's how I feel about you, too. Did what I wrote suck?
No, it was great.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I didn't let you down because letting down the great Levi Weaver would be very, very disappointing to me. Now, he used to cover the Rangers for The Athletic, but now he's doing the Windup, which is a baseball newsletter that you do with Ken Rosenthal.
Yes.
And I definitely want to get into that because I'm a big consumer of that. It's an excellent, excellent gig you got there. First, though, now you've met the crew here.
Yes.
Shoopy, Ashley, Mickey, Becca. They're all in here today. And what we want to do first is go through a few of the news items of the day. And with more on that, here is Shoopy.
Well, hello, Levi.
Hi.
Time for some news.
Am I expected to have kept up with the news today? Because I've been trying to just not.
There might be a couple things that you'll be interested to know about.
Is this like NPR where I'm supposed to like riff on the news?
Yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to be terrible at this. Let's go.
Hey, I'm probably going to be terrible at it too.
Fantastic.
Let's talk about time change, DFW.
Oh boy.
What do you think about it, Shoopy and Levi?
I
and
hate
everyone?
it. I hate it.
Didn't we vote to eliminate this?
Uh-oh.
Like,
Yes,
I feel like there was
yes,
a-
we
okay.
did.
What happened?
I don't know because
When
it was
the vote
supposed.
taken on this? I don't remember voting to eliminate this.
Okay,
But I certainly would.
Senate or Congress? Somebody.
the Texas Congress voted to get rid of it, and it was supposed to be on the last spring forward was our last one. They lied to us, straight up lied because we're still here.
Ashley's got it in for the man.
She does. All men.
I very much what?
Huh?
Maybe. I very much dislike the fallback.
I like the fall. Actually, they need to set it a half an hour in between and just leave it. And I don't care if that puts us 30 minutes off with the rest of the world, or just pick one. I don't care, but this is silly.
Yeah, just pick one. Either one's fine. Just pick one. Stay with it. This causes way too much chaos for everybody every year.
What if only it applied to farmers? Then it doesn't really affect us, but it still keeps their stuff in order.
Okay, but there's been multiple studies done that say this does not matter for farmers anymore because of how high tech their stuff is now.
Yeah.
So they don't even need
They don't plow the fields anymore, Shoopy.
Well, I didn't know that.
They have units to do it for them.
I'll go one step further. They should change it in the summer in Texas to the opposite clock, where 7 a.m. right now is morning, right? And we're all starting our day, and we're about to walk into a furnace oven because it's in Texas. I say people should wake up at 7 p.m. We live our lives like vampires because it's at least cooler then. And then we all go to bed about 9 or 10 in the morning and sleep through the heat wave. That's my take on this.
Can't really disagree with that.
what it
See,
takes.
it's takes like that have made him who he is.
That's why he works with Ken Rosenthal now.
That's right.
Because
Ken
I'm
was
willing
like,
to
I
just
like the-
screw up
Because-
everybody's
Yeah.
life and sleep schedules. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
This
like,
is
I like the cut of that boy's jib.
This is a forward thinker, folks.
Yeah,
If
highly
you're not
motivated
familiar with him,
self-starter.
then yes, this is a definite forward thinker. But I hate it. I looked out the window last night. It was dark. Then I looked at the clock and found that it was 6. Mm-hmm. That ain't right.
Here's my conspiracy theory. They love people to have seasonal depression. They love it.
Man,
That sounds like a big pharma thing.
yeah.
All right, so Ashley and I are going to start a conspiracy theory podcast later. We're
Can
going
we
to
please?
make so
Okay.
much money.
Oh my
That's-
gosh, I love
that's better than your
conspiracy
Death
theory.
Cab for QB podcast that we were going to do with you.
Yeah, my football / early era emo crossover podcast.
Well, I've read several articles that indicate in publications, no less than the New York Times, even, that have suggested that whoever the big they are,
Big pharma.
they are possibly thinking about doing away with this. Now, which would they go to? Would they go to this? Would they go to what we just got out of?
Can I speak to the truth?
Uh-oh.
All right, the truth coming up.
I leaned into it. The Senate passed the Sunshine Act in 2022, and we were supposed to go just to standard time, November of 2023. It is sitting in the House.
What house? It's not in this
The
house.
big house.
Oh, okay, the White House.
It's sitting in Congress.
I thought it was I thought Texas was passing it though.
No, this was a federal pass a long time ago. I don't know anything about Texas, and
Who's in charge of the House right now? Let's make this extremely political the day
Yeah.
before Election Day. Let's rile everyone
Ashley,
up.
your mic doesn't work anymore.
I muted myself already.
Well, I don't know. Just do one, do the other. I don't care which. But this time change thing that we have to do twice a year is a beating. It's a beat down. And everybody thinks that. So get on one side, get on the other, whichever. But get on one. That's what
Well,
I have on the time change. Shoot.
like
What if we made this political too, where the left is like, no, it needs to be daylight standard time, and the right is like, no, daylight savings time, and we just turn this into a culture war. Could
Is
we
it not already?
Could we monetize that?
Probably.
Okay.
I feel like
If
everything's
we could, it might be
monetizable.
worthwhile then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like twice a year, whichever time thing it is, that's who gets to be in charge of the Senate or the House. We could really, if we listen to me, we could really mess up our society. Like we could make it unlivable.
I feel like there would be anarchy if you were in charge of anything.
You're exactly right.
I would support it as long as I don't have to get involved.
That sounds about right.
You know how the time change
Isn't
started?
that the opposite of support?
Do you know how the time change started?
How?
Back in the 70s, there was this thing called the energy crisis. And it was manipulated entirely by oil companies. There was a gas shortage. There were gas lines and stuff like that. And they decided that to force us to use less energy, we're going to go to daylight savings time for
My
part of the year.
conspiracy theory just keeps going.
No, that was not a conspiracy. That was real.
So it only started in the 1970s?
Yeah.
Time didn't change before.
Well, I think it
till
did.
you were like 20?
I think it may have before, but then they changed it back and they kept it on one thing, I guess, standard time for the entire year.
Okay, I'm seeing looks like it started in Germany and Austria in 1916. The U.S. did it in 1918. And then I guess it came back in 1970.
Yeah, but they were looking ahead. They were like, the energy crisis is coming in the 70s, and we need to be prepared for this.
They knew.
Very forward thinking, actually, of our governments to do that.
Actually, Germany was looking ahead to World War II.
What happened then?
I wasn't going to give them any credit from that era.
They don't deserve any.
I'm not giving them credit. I'm just pointing out what could be a fact, but I don't know that it is or not. So it's not a fact.
Well, hey, you know who would probably like to go back in time about 24 hours?
Who's that?
Dak Prescott.
Oh, that was
because he injured his hammy swing last night.
Is that before
and he's going to be
or
out
after?
for a few weeks.
Is that before or after he said how bad they suck?
Might be after. There's
Okay.
no way to really know.
Fair.
But he's hurt, and we might have to put him down.
Who's the Cowboys' backup quarterback these days?
Cooper Rush. So that explains why he was trending on Twitter about a minute ago.
What's
Twinding.
that? Who was the old Oklahoma State quarterback that just never went away? He was
Brandon
the older.
Weeden?
Yes, Brandon Weeden. That's what I was gonna.
Nice.
I was gonna
That's
make
a
that
good pull.
joke.
I'm smart. You hear that, Levi?
Yeah,
You
no,
are
I
smart.
Maybe I should be writing for Ken
And he
Rosenthal.
didn't just say they suck. He said they fucking suck.
He did.
yes, he did.
And
We can say that word.
he ain't wrong. He is not wrong.
The fact that they caught it as soon as he said it was hilarious.
He needs to talk to Alec Boehm for like a PR, like how do I come out of this?
Yeah, get the crowd all
Philly's,
back in
Philly's
his favor
third
again.
baseman said like I hate this place or something, and it got caught on camera, and everyone was so mad at him. And then after the game, he was like, "Well, yeah, you guys are pretty intense, actually. Like, sometimes I do, but if I play better, I know you'll be behind me." And then the Phillies fans really got behind him and were like, "Yeah, that's our guy because we know what that feels like. We hate our
Yeah.
job sometimes too." So I don't know what Dak would say to get Cowboys fans on his side, and I know that I'm not going to riff on that because I would get Cowboys fans not on my side if I did. But there's a path here.
You
He
mean-
can rescue this somehow.
They're all in. Whatever. They're all in, guys.
Yeah. And apparently Jerry cried yesterday addressing the team after the game, saying he still believed in them and stuff. These players.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
Believed in them to get the first pick in the draft.
Oh, there were other criers.
Oh, there were?
Oh, sure. I'm sure there were lots of fans who were crying.
Oh, I was like, playing wise? What? That would be
There's
interesting.
no crying over football. Football's a man's game. You don't cry when you're playing a man's game.
Yeah.
The man's game of football.
Men don't cry, Levi.
Well, that's not true, but
Oh, okay.
but in football, you probably shouldn't because I feel like that would just encourage your opponent to stomp on you more, right? You can't show that level of vulnerability. I'm not going to call it weakness.
Yeah.
You can't show that level of vulnerability.
And
Like,
also,
you're-
your hands might get all slippery. You drop the ball,
yeah,
stuff like that.
Can't see
You don't want
straight.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be tough.
Well, either way, that was a terrible game yesterday. Another terrible game for the Cowboys. And I'm really beginning to think that this thing cannot be turned around.
First pick in the draft.
And where does that leave us for the rest of the year? I have no idea. Does that mean Mike McCarthy makes it the rest of the year? Maybe, maybe not. But what good is that going to do? Who are they going to go out and get? They're going to bring Jimmy back?
Maybe.
Hot take.
Bill Belichick.
Are they going to get a new general manager?
Also Bill Belichick.
Okay.
No, because you know what that would mean?
Fire Jerry the GM.
That would mean that Jerry the owner has to fire Jerry the general manager.
Honestly,
Which I think is a
imagine
novel
that?
idea that should be tried.
I know. Why hasn't anyone discussed this before?
I don't know. Nobody's thought of it.
And I'm showing how long it's been since I paid attention to Cowboys football by asking this, but like, didn't Bill Parcells take the GM job for a while?
Not ever in title, but like
Okay.
he got to, was it, if you're going to buy the groceries, you need, what was it?
Yeah, he had some ridiculous.
If you're going to cook,
If
you
you're
also
going to
get
cook
to
the
buy the
meal,
groceries.
then let me buy the groceries.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so a functioning
right.
GM, right?
And then
Yeah.
Jerry got tired of that and still made him add like Terrell Owens and stuff like that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how long it's been since I paid attention to the Dallas Cowboys.
Not 20 years.
Terrell Owens.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you have an owner general manager.
I thought when I saw the headline, Jerry in tears, I thought it was because he was firing himself finally. But I didn't go and watch the video.
That will never happen.
Ego.
Control. He will have to relinquish it.
Rich people.
Yeah. And even if he did bring in a general manager, what would the general manager be allowed to do?
Nothing.
Everything he would want to do, he's got to run it by Jerry first.
Literally.
And get him to sign off on it.
Literally buy the groceries. That's it.
Yeah, that's what he would want to do.
Make Jerry's coffee.
Yeah. You know who else wishes, or no, I already used that one. You know who's crying now?
Who?
Music fans.
I thought you just used that one a second ago.
Crying? I didn't use that one.
Oh, okay, good.
Whatever. Quincy Jones passed away today.
Yeah.
So you did see that.
I did see that.
That's sad.
Legend. I mean, he was 91, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a dismissive, like, well, it's time to go.
No, he
I
had
just
to
mean
go.
like, I'm 44 now, and I've started to think about like,
Whoa.
at some point, like my body's giving out. What's it going to be like when I'm twice this old? And the answer is not great. So, on one hand,
First of all, you'll be pretty lucky to make it
yeah,
if you're twice that old.
yeah. I will be the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys by then.
Well, it was another terrible day for the Cowboys. It was another terrible day for Cowboy fans, and I don't know what to say about it except this team sucks. It really, really sucks.
Can we get a drop of that?
When they show a wide shot of the bench area before the game starts, you can see it. There's no chemistry on that team. There are no guys getting together and saying, let's go do this. We all know what we're going to do. Let's go do this. There's none of that. There's just a bunch of guys diddling around over there.
So much diddling.
So much diddling. It's terrible. This team sucks right now. Yeah, they do. What else, Shoopy?
That's about it. Let's talk to Levi.
All right, let's talk to Levi. Now, Levi is a very interesting cat. I first became aware of him.
So uncomfortable when people say nice things about me.
You're such a good cat.
You're great, Levi.
Stop it. My therapist will hear about this.
You
carry on.
may be a good cat, but I think you're a more, however good you may be, I think you're more interesting. You're a very rare bird. I mean, you're very unusual, and coming from one who gets that said about it himself quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I took it as a compliment.
It's intended that way. So tell us, how'd you get so unusual?
Yeah, you silly goose.
I don't know. I've had a rare bird, silly goose. What else have we got? What else? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Egret. All right, we're
All
3
right,
for 3.
I was trying to think about the conversations
Cool
we've had
cat.
before.
Yeah.
And I remember that you grew up somewhere in this area, but in a really small town.
Yeah, Rio Vista, Texas. Unless you're over the age of about 50, and then it's Ra Vista.
Yeah, Rio Vista.
Yeah.
Isn't that
I always
the
called it
valley?
Rio Vista, let the record show.
Thank you. Yeah, I did too. It is about 15 minutes south of Cleburne. 10, 15
Okay. Oh,
minutes
you're
south
not
of
far
Cleburne.
from me.
Where are you?
I'm in Granbury.
Okay, yeah.
What's your specific address?
Yeah. What's
555 your house.
What's the code to your front door?
My gate.
So yeah, grew up a very small. My dad was a professional rodeo cowboy. He was a calf roper. He was also an ordained home missionary to the rodeo cowboys. So we would hold church services at rodeo grounds around the country. So therefore, I homeschooled, and that probably has a lot more to do with me being interesting than anything else. Take that for what you will. Yeah, so that was kind of where I grew up, and then I just traveled a lot when I kind of wanted. I knew I didn't really fit in that world. It was not my scene. I quit doing rodeo stuff in my teens.
What
So, yeah.
did you do?
That same thing my dad did, like the calf roping, team roping. I won a buckle once in calf riding when I was like my 8th birthday, something like that.
What's the sheep one? where they
Mutton
ride?
busting.
Mutton busting.
Did mutton busting. Yeah, my little brother got his nose stepped on by a sheep once. That's
Is
a
it
true story
deformed?
from my life. Huh?
Is it deformed now?
No, he was fine.
Boo.
He's a child. You're all cartilage as a child. It's fine.
What are the pros and cons of being homeschooled for you?
The cons were that my peers were all my parents and their friends, and and I don't mean this disrespectfully towards my parents at all, which they might see this, and so it's not disrespectful. It is just the truth. They're like, rodeo culture is a niche culture, right? Like, that's not normal. But when you are raised in and around rodeo, and specifically like rodeo church culture, And you just think, well, this is what everybody does. And like, yeah, there are some city kids that we see from time to time, but they're not normal. We're normal. There's a lot of, it's a very narrow world. And I don't even mean that from a judgmental standpoint. It just is like, it's very sort of secluded. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the rodeo community. Like somebody will show up and be like, I want to be a cowboy. And the response will kind of be like, what's that hat? That's a wannabe. You're not one. Come on. But then there's also this sort of like, oh, we're just so misunderstood. Nobody understands us. Like we, they just don't get it. We get it. And my parents were not really that way, but just the greater culture of that was. And so it's kind of an isolation thing. And when you don't have the influences of other kids and cultures and all of that, like I remember like we started going to a different church when I was 16 years old, and I was still wearing Wranglers and like brush popper shirts, and I'd show up and there was this sort of infatuation of like, oh, the cowboy kids are here. And I didn't want to be like the cowboy kid. I didn't want that to be my personality. I just thought that was the default. So I like begged my parents, like, can I just please buy a pair of khaki pants? Can I just like, I just want to be not known for this,
How'd that go over?
They were actually very supportive of it. They were great. And honestly, the kids were, none of this is a complaint, but went from that to just like kind of wanting to, okay, what did I miss? This is actually not all there is to the world. What else is out there?
Yeah.
So did a lot of international traveling, moved to England for a couple of years, started doing music and toured around the US. I don't have an exact count on the number of shows that I played, but I feel like it's somewhere between 800 and 1,000. Like it was a lot. Both here and in Europe. And just like you run into other cultures and you learn how other people live life and you get different perspectives and you sort of go, oh, wow, I really thought that this thing that I've never even thought about because I so just thought that was the norm. There are actually 50 different ways to think about it, and I'm probably not exactly right. So yeah, being maybe I guess a little more open to that. And then somehow now I'm back in Texas and I'm writing about baseball, and those are things that I loved as a kid. Right, like I loved baseball. I grew up in that Nolan Ryan, Ruben Sierra, Julio Franco, Jeff Kunkel, Jeff Hewson, Rafael Palmeiro. I could go on about the 1988 to 92 Rangers for that decade. I don't know. I don't know how I got here, but I don't think I'm that interesting, Mike. I just think that I probably have ADHD.
I would beg to differ with that. I think you're extremely interesting, and
You're
always
a very
have.
interesting cat.
Now, did you?
Cat, that's another, yeah.
Did you? You must have had some level of commercial success with your music.
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't. The biggest tour that I did was in 2006. I lucked into, I won a MySpace contest. That's how old that is. And when I was living in England, to open for a British artist named Imogen Heap in her local show there in Birmingham where I lived.
Okay, now that's a name I've heard.
Okay, yeah. She's
don't know anything about her, but I have heard the
legitimate
name.
Genius. Like I don't use that term lightly. She asked me if I could go on her U.S. tour with her. It was a 6-week-long tour, and the venues were like kind of 800 to 2,500 size. Like I played at McFarland Auditorium here in Dallas, which got a standing ovation because I was the Texas kid on a British tour, right? And I was like, I'm from here. No, not. I'm from Rio Vista, but I'm from here. Yeah, everybody stood up and cheered. But I never played a tour that big again. I thought that was like, I did it. I killed it. I sold a ton of merch. People were into it. Like, it's only up from here, baby. And I didn't know how to operate in the music business. I was not given that set of skills. And so I played a lot of small tours and basically broke even. And honestly, for the last 5 years, I played house shows because I gave up the idea of being famous. I had friends that became famous, and it was frankly not great for them. They didn't love it.
Yeah.
They loved being able to make a living. They loved the financial security that came with it. But it's an invasion of privacy. People think that they know you. There's an assumed familiarity. People come up to you on the street and they're just like, oh, I know your cat. Or like, no, you follow me on Twitter. You don't actually know anything that I didn't choose to tell you. So if I could be rid of that, but I could play house shows. And if I played a bar and 100 people came and they paid $10 each, right? That's $1,000 that came through the door. The venue's going to keep 500 of that. And then the merch or the venue might also take a cut of your merch now, which I think is predatory. You might walk out by the time it's all said and done for 100 people, which would actually be a very successful show. $350, maybe. Play a house show. 30 people come. They pay $10 each. The house people are happy to have you play at their house.
Yeah.
There's your $300, and plus you're selling more merch because it's a more intimate setting. For what I did, it was sad music. It was like peer into your eyes and be like, I understand your sadness music. So you sell more T-shirts by being sad, and I made enough money to sort of stay in business. And I had a wonderful like fan base of people that would come to my shows, and it honestly, I was able to do music for probably 5 years longer than I could have. Once I gave up the dream of like, I want to be on Conan O'Brien. I want to be playing, the American Airlines Center, as if my style of music would ever play there. Why don't I instead go where the people are, go with where it works? If I play a living room, it's quiet. People are listening. They're into it. If I play a bar, it might be incredibly loud with nobody listening. And the other act might be some, porno-themed metal band like happened to me once in Kansas City. So like, let's have a better experience.
So did like people who see you in these places book you for the house shows, or how did you get booked into those?
Yeah, it was a lot of just the Imogen Heap tour set me up pretty well. I had a mailing list that people would sign up for. So I would just send out an email list to everybody that was in, Atlanta, in that area. If you were at the Atlanta show, hey, I'm coming back. I'm going to be at, this range of dates. If you have a space where you can host 25 or 30 people, that you don't mind people coming to your house, let me know. And sometimes people would, sometimes they wouldn't. It's not that I never played venues. I'd play small bars or small venues if I had to, but yeah, people got to be, you make friends with them. If you're playing in their house, you don't have that. This was actually my favorite part of it. If you're a fan of an artist and you go and see them at a venue, they're elevated. They're on the stage. There's these lights. There's this sort of aura of magic or otherness, or like I'm special.
Yes, they are definitely not one of you.
Right.
Just like every petty theft show.
If I play in a living room, what am I going to do? Be like, can we get some more in the monitor?
Come back for an encore.
Please, man, don't rush the stage. Don't rush the dining room. It sort of humanizes you, and there's not that level of difference. It's just actual human connection. And like, yes, I'm the one playing the songs, but we can also have a conversation during the set, and I can play off what you're saying, and it's just less. It felt less gross to me. It felt more real. And it was it's a different setting, right? If people are used to seeing that concert in that otherness thing, and you're just like, let's take the sheen off of this. Let's take the filter off of our Instagram photo here for a little bit. And let's just like hang out. And yeah, I'll play you some songs, but like, you want to play a song? Come on, play a song.
So were you on a label that whole time or at all? Or
just at the very end, and I wish I hadn't. I would have, I think I would have done better without that particular label. That was on my last record, and they sold me really hard on everything that they were going to do. But the problem was I don't think they knew how to sell what I was doing, right? I was getting traditional press interviews, and like, American Songwriter wanted to do an article on me, and that's great. And we had the interview, and they're like, where can we see you? And I'm like, Dave's house? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to put his address on my tour page. It's just like email for details, So it was just a weird fit, and I don't think they really knew how to do that. I probably should have just kept doing that myself.
When was the last time you did a gig?
I quit in early 2015, but I didn't know that I had quit. My subconscious quit before I did, and it was time for me to write the next album. We just moved back to Texas. We spent an entire year in an RV driving around the country, and it was time to write the next album. And everything I wrote came out terrible. Like, it was like so bad.
You can actually judge your own stuff.
Yeah, some to a degree, right? Like, on a scale of 1 to 100, I couldn't tell you like, oh, this is like an 86.45, but I could be like, yeah, this song is like a low 90s on what I'm capable of. Like, I feel really great about this. Sometimes I'll be off by 10 points of other people telling me like, no, this is better than you think. But I was writing songs that were in like the 30s. Like, it was just garbage. It was not good. I was not inspired, and I know now I was burned out. I've been doing it for 10 years. I was booking my own shows. I was promoting my own shows. I was designing most of my own merch. I was printing my merch. I was keeping all of my inventory. I was booking the tour route. I was keeping the spreadsheet there. I was the driver. I was the tour manager. I was the manager. I was the merch guy. I was the performer. I was driving, like, and all the while, just like.
Were you the sound guy too?
I was the sound guy too. Yeah. When I was playing the house shows, I would set up my own sound. I didn't want anybody else to touch it. The problem also is that I was kind of a perfectionist. So that level of being like, it needs to sound like this. Don't touch it. Or like I got into a fight with a friend one time because I was talking to some people after a show and he was on tour with me and he put away my gear afterwards. He was being very thoughtful, but I came back and I'm like, what did you do? He's like, I put your gear away, dude. I'm trying to help. I'm like, thank you. And then I just took it all back out and I put it all back away because everything had to be in its exact place. Because if it wasn't, if I leave something in Chicago, I'm going to be in St. Louis by the time I realize it's gone. I don't get to just be like, oh, hey, I left my harmonica. Can I come back? Like, it's gone. So everything had to have its exact place. Anyway, I'm getting very side rabbit trailed here. I was burned out and didn't realize what burnout was. And
what year are we talking now?
This is early 2015.
Okay.
And then I had a buddy that was like, hey, when was your last show? We're talking 2018, 19. When was your last show? And I'm like, I literally don't know. I think I played some local shows when we got to Dallas, but I don't know.
Where would you play around here?
Well,
Steve's house.
Yeah, Steve's house. No, in Dallas, I could sometimes play some other venues. Like when the Gypsy Tea Room was still up, I would play the Gypsy Tea Room. I love that place. Love the sound there. But in January of 2020, I relented and I agreed to do one final show. And so we did it as a fundraiser for Refugee Services of Texas. I took an entire off season to prepare. We did that in January of 2020. So we just got it in before everything shut down. We started COVID.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. People flew in from 5 or 6 different states. It was a sellout. It was at Sons of Herman Hall. And I was worried about 2 things. I was worried, I haven't played a show in 5 years. It's going to suck. And the other thing I was worried about is, what if the bug bites me again? Because by then I have a job at The Athletic. I'm like doing well in the sports writing world. What if I feel the pull to go back and just be poor again, right? And neither of those things happened. I prepared. It was good. It was a great show. We stayed and hung out for like 2 hours afterwards. When it was done, I packed my gear up. I was not that particular about it because I was like 5 minutes from my house. And I was happy to just go home. Like, I don't have to be in San Antonio tomorrow. I don't have to be in Little Rock. I don't have to be in Oklahoma City or Santa Fe. Like, I can just go home and sleep. It was nice.
So let's talk about how a guy goes from that to writing baseball for The Athletic.
I know. I have.
I mean, you do recognize this is not exactly a straight
weird.
line.
It's super weird. It is. I have college kids sometimes that will like send me an email and like, hey, can I pick your brain about like, I want to do what you do. How did you get there? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I just got thrown onto this comet and I'm floating through space, dude. Yeah, so just to kill time and give me something to do so I didn't go stir crazy when I was busy writing terrible songs and then ignoring songwriting, I talked to Orr Moyle, who at the time was working at WFA, Channel 8, and they were looking for Rangers bloggers. And
how did you know him?
So when the Rangers went to the World Series...
That's actually a silly question because Orr seems to know everybody.
Yeah. When the Rangers went to the World Series in 2010 and 11, right? So I'd grown up a Rangers fan. Here they are in the World Series for the first time. And I'm on Twitter and I'm tweeting about it. And all my music people are like, please shut up about baseball. We don't care. Stop. Like, I'm going to unfollow you for your music stuff if you keep talking about baseball all the time. I was like, all right, fine. I'll start a second account. So I started a second account. Hey, if you care about baseball or the Rangers, it was meant to be for 20 people, right? Like, this is just for me to dump my thoughts because that's what we did on Twitter back then instead of, well, what we do
back
now.
then. Hell, it's what I do now.
Yeah.
Same here.
And so I did, and I met Orr through all of that, and he put out this thing, hey, we're looking for bloggers, and I was going to do it, but then in 2014, but then that was when we were in the RV, and I was like, I don't want to do it and do it badly. I'm going to wait. So we settled in 2015. I was like, hey, I think I might want to do this just for fun, and I think I wrote, 8 or 10 articles for him that year. And by the end of 2015, I knew that I was done with music. Like, I was like, it's not coming back. I'm not going to put out a terrible record and let that be part of my legacy. My good ones are bad enough as it is. So
And it still has not come back.
No, it hasn't.
Have you given up totally on the idea?
I have not shut the door. I have come to some closure and some peace with it.
Okay.
If the muse walks back through my door and is like, missed you, time to go, that'd be very nice.
The door opens.
Yeah. So far, that has not happened.
He's gonna leave here, and now the music's gonna be back because of you.
Yeah. So
you're doing stuff for Orr.
Yeah, and then in 2016,
What would he do with it? Did he put it up on
WFA.com.
Okay.
And I did not go to journalism school. I did not know like the rules of journalism. I was just writing. I was writing about baseball like I wrote lyrics. Like I wanted it to be prosaic and poetic and like different and weird because Dallas Fort Worth is such a big sports market, and the Rangers were coming off of these World Series years not too long before. There was increased interest in, and I thought they're paying me like $30 an article. For them to get their return on investment for these articles, all they need is like 7 people to read this. So it's not actually 7, but there has to be a slice of the population that wants to read about baseball like this. That it's strange and they're not going to learn. I didn't have any sources. I wasn't at the ballpark. I'm sitting in, but whatever. I'm going to observe and I'm going to write. And there was. And so then in 2016, Katie Clark was the girl who had been the full-time WFA like beat writer for the website. She moved to Guam, and I told Orr, I think I want to do that. And the year before I had played, I think 160 shows in a year, traveling around in the RV. No, it was more than that. It was like 180 shows that I played in 1 year. We had driven like 70,000 miles. And Orr goes, the thing about beat writing, like you wouldn't be doing any travel, but you would be at all the home games. It's 80. Well, that's kind of like a heavy schedule. Or do you think you're up for that? And I was like, do I have to play the game and manage the game and broadcast the game and then write about the game?
And then play a show after that?
Yeah. Like, am I responsible for scrubbing the shoes after and then flying the team to the next city? No, then I think I'll be okay. So he took a chance on me. And John Blake had some reservations. Like, do we want a fan in the press box? And Orr stuck his neck out for me and said, well, I'll talk to him. I'll let him know. Katie will coach him up a little bit and let him know what's acceptable, what's not. And people took a risk on me, and that's how I got here. So I did that for 2 years. Tried to turn it into a full-time thing in 2018. WFA, they for whatever reason, were not willing to make that happen. They're like, if you get a full-time offer, let us know. We'll see if we can match it. And I'm like, well, if I'm worth matching it, why don't you just give me a reason to stay? And they said, ha ha ha. And so I quit, and I started my own website. We had Sean Shapiro doing Stars stuff. We eventually brought in Jeff Kavanaugh and Kevin Turner to do Cowboys stuff. We were trying to hire a Mavericks writer, and within 2 months, we existed for 2 months. And by then,
What was this called?
The Upset. That was the thing that you wrote a guest article for.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mike, it's not embarrassing to forget it because it literally existed for 2 months. And
It was a great 2 months, though.
The timing was just, again, super, super lucky.
That's a good crew too.
Hell yeah, it was.
I mean, we had good people. And then the Athletic, we didn't know. Our plan was we were going to expand in the Southeast. We're like, the Athletic doesn't do college football. We're gonna get into college football. The Athletic's not in New York. We're gonna go to New York. We're gonna like bring this in, and it's gonna be a collectively owned, kind of like Defector is doing now. It's gonna be like a collectively owned thing. So we tried to get Bob Sturm to come in and be like a everything. He knows hockey, basketball. What doesn't Bob Sturm know about
Nothing.
sports?
Obviously.
Right? Nothing. Obviously.
A little aside, I had a conversation with him while in that process of trying to recruit him. And he was like, baseball is the one sport I don't pay attention to because that's my summer and my kids. Like, I need to have an off season, so I don't really pay attention to baseball. I'm like, that's great. I got it covered. And he was like, okay, but actually, what's going on with their bullpen? And named like 7 of the 8 relievers in the bullpen. I'm like, How is this you're not paying attention? Do you know how many Dallas Cowboys I could tell you right now? Like, is Steve Pallure still playing for them? No.
Like, it's insane. Like, he and Dan McDowell, I'm not sure if they still are. They were in a fantasy baseball league for like 20 years, and it went down into like the depths of the minor leagues and
That sounds like
all
my
that.
own
So, like,
personal hell.
It was
Yeah,
the
it's
most
crazy.
hardcore fantasy league that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. So we tried to recruit him because that would have been a huge get for us. And the Dallas Morning News had just let him go. And he comes back and goes, guys, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in your. Oh no, he goes, I'm sorry, but I'm joining the dark side. Like, the Athletic has asked me to join. They're starting a Dallas vertical, and I'm going to join. And at that point, we kind of panicked and we're like, oh no, we thought we had more time to get ahead of them here. Oh, by the way, they're also launching in New York, so I grew behind them there. And then he came
So
back.
you feared the arrival of the Athletic here?
A little bit. We wanted some more time to really establish ourselves as a competitor, right? And then Bob said, "Hey, I don't want to mess up what you guys are doing. I know that you believe in your business model, and but I just told the guys at the Athletic, their Dallas vertical should be you. Like, just come in and scoop you guys up." And so we talked about it. We had some negotiations, and then again, like 2 months after we launched, we were like, "Surprise, we're joining the Athletic." And that's how I got to doing that. And then the New York Times bought the Athletic, and now somehow a kid from Rio Vista who played in Dave's living room is writing for the New York Times. It's not something I could replicate in 1,000 lifetimes.
All right. If we may take a little bit of exit ramp here just for a second.
Yeah.
Explain to me how this New York Times and the Athletic pairing up works exactly. Because is this just an excuse or a reason for the New York Times to disband their sports section, let everybody over there go, which it looks like that's pretty much what they've done? Because all I ever see there is athletic stuff.
What am I allowed to say? And of that, what do I actually know? I keep my head down, Mike. I don't know. Like, I know that there were some people that were reassigned from the sports desk, and that there was absolutely some internal conflict about that amongst the Athletic writers.
I mean, if that's too hot for you to handle, then
no. I mean, do I have opinions? Yes. Should I share them?
Yes.
Probably not.
Oh.
And I don't even mean that as a diss at my employer. It's just it's a hot topic, right? It is. You know those video game ads you get where there's one little fish and then another fish comes and eats it, and then another fish comes and eats that fish. I am but a parasite in the stomach of a fish, and sometimes it gets eaten by a bigger fish. And frankly, of all the companies that could have bought the Athletic, like, it could be FanDuel. I could be sitting here looking into a camera and being like, well, the spread on the blah, like talking about gambling, which I would prefer not to do. So the New York Times is a respected newspaper. I am actually, like, of all of the options of companies that could have bought us, I'm glad it was the New York Times. I think there's some stability there. I'm grateful that they let me write a newsletter.
yeah, and let's face it, there's a good bit of prestige there too. No?
Yeah, no, there is. I'm just uncomfortable with it because I don't feel like I said earlier, I didn't go to journalism school, so I feel like there's certainly some.
Yeah, but you may not have gone to journalism school, but you're amazing at what you do.
Well,
There are a lot of people out there that are really, really good and really amazing at something they do that they have no training for.
And there's a lot of people that went to journalism school that are no longer in this industry, and on top of that, suck at their job.
right, but there are also people who went to journalism school and do not suck at their job that are out of a job right now too, and that's kind of the thing that I look at and go, I feel fortunate and privileged to. It's an unstable industry. It is, and that's not. We could have a whole hour-long discussion about why that is, but it is. Like, Hannah Kaiser was at Yahoo Sports. She is a phenomenal baseball writer. She gets good stories. She has good sources. She's been out of work for almost a year, right? Like, just.
I mean, the media industry in general, though, is like that. Writing for sure, and columnists and reporting that way. But I mean, just in general, we had Rick Renner in here the other day talking about the same thing on the TV side.
Yeah. So yes, is there prestige associated? Yes, but I don't want to cash in on that because what I don't want is to, like, meet somebody and be like, oh, hey, by the way, I write for the New York Times. And then a month later, they're like, "Oh, you're the New York Times guy, right?" Like, no, they fired me. I'm not. I have to be a real person now.
So you stick with I'm the athletic guy.
Well, it is a subsidiary of the New York Times.
Yeah.
No, I try to stick with I'm Levi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And if they ask what I do, then that's what I do. But honestly, like these last 2 years of writing the newsletter has been kind of revolutionary for me. If we can get into therapy.
What you ought to go with is, hey, I'm Levi, and you've never met anybody like me.
No.
I'm an interesting cat.
Yeah. I'm an egret. No, I think for a long time, I defined myself by the work that I did, right? Like I was Levi the musician. I was Levi the guy with an interesting backstory. I was Levi the guy who lived in England. I was Levi the sports writer. I was Levi the guy who gets to be in the clubhouse after games. And when you do that, when that is your personality, when that is what you define yourself by, is the success at your job, then that's where all of your energy goes. And I missed out on a lot of things, Mike. I missed out on a lot of time with my kids when they were younger. And, you know, I'd be out on the road and get pictures of Halloween costumes, or like, you know, graduating second grade. And it's like, I knew at the time, I wish I was there for that, you know?
Yeah.
Don't love it. And I don't know what my options were. I needed to work as hard as I worked to get where I got. But also, like, I am so grateful now that I'm Levi. I'm Lincoln's dad. I'm Holland's dad. I am the guy who plays Sandlot baseball. I'm like these things that I love to do, as opposed to the things that I do for a job. And yes, I still care about my job and I want to do it well and I want to excel at it. But it is not, I'm not a perfectionist at it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't fight with my editor over specific phrasing anymore. I don't, like, that is just, I clock in and I do my job and I want to do it really well because I'm very lucky to have that job. But how do I define myself? It's by the work that I'm putting in on myself. It's the decisions that I make. It's what is my character? Who are the people that I'm pouring into? Who are the people that are pouring into me that I'm grateful for? And that is something that it has taken a couple of years of being away from the ballpark and a couple of years of, there's not the prestige of like, oh, a beat writer. I aggregate other people's work. This is not actually prestige beyond just, oh, the New York Times. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing the work. I am telling people about other people's work.
Let's touch on the Windup here.
Okay.
Because that is definitely something that I read every day. How did that come together?
So the New York Times loves their newsletters. I don't know if you know this about them. They are big newsletter guys. And so they were launching.
That had never been drilled into my consciousness, but I can see it.
Yeah. There are like, I think 84 million newsletters at the New York Times. Just different ones. Yeah. There's like a newsletter on, I'm kidding. I don't know how many there are. There's like 40. I don't know.
I was like, oh wow, I'm taking him for his word right
I
now.
was being serious.
She trusted a journalist.
Yeah, that's what you
Such
get.
a bad choice.
I told you I didn't go to journalism school. So they were launching a baseball specific newsletter, and I had been at the ballpark, 81 home games. And by that point, I'm traveling from 2018 through 22. I'm on the road for 40-ish road games. I'm gone all the time, and I just wanted to be home more. And I knew that I could do that job from there. My kids were, my son's in middle school. He's about to be in high school. My daughter's in elementary, about to be in junior high. And I just needed to be around. And so I just applied for that role. And then the year after I take the newsletter role, the Rangers win the World Series. So I was the curse.
Did you know Ken Rosenthal very well before any of this?
The day that The Athletic announced that they were bringing on the upset, they announced the Dallas Vertical by going, our Dallas Vertical is we brought in these guys. That day I got a text from Ken. I didn't know him before. Hey, it's Ken Rosenthal. Do you have a second for a phone call? Yeah, I think I can make some time for you.
Yeah.
And so he calls and he's like, hey, I love what you do, which is the first surprise. Here's how I kind of see the Dallas landscape. Evan Grant does this. T.R. Sullivan does this. Jeff Wilson does this. I feel like there's a space for you to do this, what you do very well. And then sort of gave me some tips on how to enhance that. And I'm like, do you know this much about all 30 media markets? And he's like, I keep up. Like, that man is his baseball brain is huge. And also he's a super supportive, like nice guy who is not a jerk about it. Like he has enough skins on the wall. He could be a little bit of a jerk about it if he wanted to. He's awesome. Like he's great. I have nothing bad to say about him.
So how would you describe, for those who have not seen this yet, first of all, you should, but how would you describe the division of labor between you and him? Because you are in there pretty much doing one thing, and he's more the nuts and bolts guy, as I see it.
So he does one section. So sometimes he'll have a column and he'll excerpt from a column, right? And so it's, I'll write the intro, I'll write the first section, then it's Ken's corner, and then I'll come back and write the next two sections. And the idea is just, if you read this in the morning and you didn't hear anything about what happened in the sport of baseball yesterday, you would kind of feel like you had a pretty good idea of what happened and what's coming up.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, this is not Ranger specific.
No.
This is
League-wide,
baseball-wide stuff.
Yeah, so I had to go from having like Rangers knowledge down to like this guy in low A is a good prospect to like league-wide coverage. And I have to know about, like what's going on with the Orioles bullpen. And
what is going on with the Orioles bullpen?
They're okay.
Okay.
It's the off season. Please don't. I knew I should have said something I knew better. No, it took a long time to adjust to that, right? Like I don't care about the Pirates, but I better know about Rowdy Tellez. I better know, why they need a new first baseman. So
Mike cares about the Pirates.
Do you care about the Pirates?
I'm more about their ballpark.
Oh, it's a lovely ballpark. I love that one.
I think it's baseball. In fact, I think it's sports' best.
And Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens, yes. I think the Pirates will be good next year if they get like 2.5 very good bats. There's my Pirates take.
So, what was your take on the way the Rangers season went this year?
It was the least amount of attention that I have paid to the Rangers since I lived in England. And I still watched, I don't know, probably 100 games. But I don't know, man. Enough guys get hurt, and there's some maybe World Series hangover, and there's maybe some guys playing hurt, and other guys underperform. It's just a crappy year.
Yeah.
Sometimes years just go crappy.
I was hoping you could give me something different to explain to people when I get asked that.
No, it's
but
just...
that's...
But here's the thing. There were things in 2023 that went right that probably shouldn't have gone right.
Yeah, there were.
Especially when they got in the playoffs and started playing like monsters on the road, and all of a sudden their bullpen, which had been such a struggle all year, it looks like the Nasty Boys from the Reds in the early 90s. Like their bullpen is a strength. Like that should not have gone that well. But it did. 2024 should not have gone that poorly. Baseball, man. It just baseballs sometimes.
I don't know about you, but there were a couple of points along the way where I thought the Rangers kind of got a little bit lucky as far as matchups go.
Yeah.
They took care of one of those on their own when they bounced the Orioles out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And over in the National League, I think they got a little bit lucky when the Phillies got knocked out too, because I probably feared the Phillies more than any other team in that tournament that year.
Yeah, I think the Phillies and I think the Dodgers, which I know they weren't the Dodgers of this year. They didn't have Ohtani, but they still had a collection of
They had a lot.
talent.
They had a lot.
And in fact, I think them being bounced in 23 was why they went and just loaded up for bear this year, and Ohtani and Yamamoto and Glasnow and all those guys. Like, they did not want that to happen again. They might be very good for a very long time.
What'd you think about this Yankees team?
I thought it was a weak American League field this year. And
Yeah.
not that the Yankees were bad. They weren't bad, but they were inconsistent. And their defense was a little sloppy, and their base running was bad.
And that showed in the World Series.
And it did. They finally, because it's not that Cleveland was terrible, but Cleveland's pitching was kind of struggling. And all of a sudden, Emmanuel Clase was, I don't know if he was tipping pitches or what, but he wasn't Emmanuel Clase. Like, everything kind of crumbled a little bit for Cleveland. And Cleveland was not, they weren't that good. Nobody in the Central was really that good. Like, the Royals and the Tigers made it into the playoffs this year. Like, it was not a strong AL thing. So it's not that they were bad teams, but the Yankees were not facing the Padres. Had the Padres been in the American League, they would have been in the World Series, I think.
I think so too.
Had the Mets been in the American League, they would have been in the World Series. Like the National League was just a stronger field this year. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the Yankees got trounced.
The thing about them for me was it seemed like, it's when the Yankees are in the World Series, you compare whatever team they're running out there to the teams of yore.
Right.
And the Yankees this year, their stars were stars. Their stars are great and everything like that.
Until Judge got in the playoffs. And
Yeah,
their stars were not
until
so good.
Aaron Judge got in the playoffs, and he was anything but great then. But for the better part of the year when I saw them, I was just looking at the worker bees and going, man, those guys are nothing like what the Yankees had back then. It seems like they kind of lost their way to identify a player who would fit well with the as a Yankee.
Juan Soto would, he was supposed to be that guy, and he kind of was.
But he's a star though.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
But the worker bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, who's your Scott Brocious of this year's team?
Yeah. He's the first guy that comes to mind.
Yeah.
When that guy was with the A's, he pretty much spared everybody to death. He goes to the Yankees, and look what happens.
Who is the other guy?
Shane Spencer.
Shane Spencer, who
Hell
just
yeah.
like turned into Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Right? They needed a Shane Spencer or a Scott Brocious or just like any one of those. Like Dwight Gooden pitched for them in those playoff years, and after he was already way past his prime, and he was good. Darryl Strawberry also played for them. Both of those guys, and they were. Ruben Sierra is another guy that they were not in their prime, but they were still pretty good.
Yeah.
They were still good enough to contribute there. Yeah, those teams also had so many stars in the 90s when they were like the Yankees.
Yeah.
Every position you've got Posada, you've got the O'Neill. Wait, no,
Paul O'Neill,
Paul
Tino
O'Neill.
Martinez.
Tino Martinez is the one I was actually thinking of. Obviously Jeter, Bernie Williams, and then their pitching staff. It's Pettit, it's Clemens, it's El Duque. They just Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, was their closer. They made the worker bees look good because there was less work for them to do.
Yeah.
And this year's Yankees team had Soto was a star, Stanton was a star in the playoffs, Judge was a star that didn't perform. That's a lot of work left for the worker bees. Rizzo was pretty good in the playoffs. Jazz Chisholm wasn't that great. Gleyber Torres was okay. Volpe had his moments. The Grand Slam was cool, but he's not a star.
No.
Yet he might be, but he's not yet. That's a lot of work left for the second and third tier guys to pick up.
Do you know what time it is now?
I don't.
It's time for Grube's Grenades.
Wee.
Woo!
That almost landed in the water.
I know. I was trying for it.
That was so close.
Explain to him how Grube's Grenades works, Shoopy.
There's really not a whole lot to it. I'd throw out a random topic and you talk about it and everybody else joins in.
Okay.
So talk to me about beats.
Beats.
Whichever spelling you prefer.
One of my favorite things when I'm discovering new bands is weird time signatures. So I went to go see this band the other day, Foxing. So good. And the band that opened for them, what are they called? Islands from
Future Islands?
No. Hold on. Now I feel terrible because I don't remember it. It was
Islands in the Stream.
Hold on. I'm going to find it. I will tell you the name of the band. We'll get to it in post.
Thousand Island Dressing.
Love Island. We're gonna keep going.
Sure.
No, what are they called? From
Fantasy Island. That was a good
from
one.
Indian Lakes. That's it. Okay.
Oh.
So this band from Indian Lakes, they would do this thing where they're playing in. It feels like they're playing drums in 4/4, right? So. But they're playing in 6. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we all go into that with 4, right? But then their measures were actually 6 beats long. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And it felt familiar, but then it wasn't familiar because they were adding that extra 2 beats. But they did it smoothly. It took me like half a song to realize what they were doing. I was like, this is different. It's weird. I love when people can be creative and weird when they're writing music, but also not make that the whole personality of the song. Like, we're being creative and weird and it's unlistenable. You're like, I'm writing this song in 13.5/5. Like, no, you're not. You're just making noise. To do it in a way that is palatable and sounded good. I loved that. So that is my latest discussion on beats.
And then what about the vegetable?
I'm not for them.
Okay.
They're disgusting.
I'm indifferent to them. I used to enjoy them some when I was a kid, but that was then. This is now.
Weird taste, weird texture, weird flavor.
Can you kick me the grenade there?
Where'd it go?
It's under your
I have
chair.
another one.
Under
You have another one? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, because I wanna do a. It doesn't have the alliteration, but Levi's explosion.
Levi's love explosion.
There we go. I did bring a prop, and I'm surprised that nobody's noticed this yet because my hamstring looks like it's about 7 feet wide.
Whoa.
He's gonna pull it out.
All right. We are going to have Levi's love explosion.
God, look at that.
Like I kind of noticed his foot was set off a little bit.
That's
weird,
the weirdest
but-
thing that's ever happened
When
on
you
your Dark
walked in, I
Companion.
realized
So-
there's
I knew somebody was going to notice it, so I brought a gift. So if you guys want this for decoration,
Oh my God.
We always want
Halloween
decorations.
yes.
My Halloween costume was Adolis El Zombie Garcia. I did a little. It's terrible painting. I'm not.
Oh,
like,
crap.
that's awesome. What are you talking
but
about?
that I was pretty proud of. And when I played, you
Just
can
pulled
see
it out
like
of his
the
pants.
paint began to like. It actually looks more like a zombie bat.
Yeah.
So this is a gift for
All
you.
right.
Wow.
It's been digging into my ribs for this whole conversation, and I was like,
I know
was
you're
waiting.
glad to be unburdened from this.
I was waiting for a smooth transition where I could be like, actually, but it hurt. I needed to take it out
It's
of my
like,
pants.
wait, when did you have that in you?
He had it the whole time.
When I got
No,
out of my
like,
car.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
I like limped up to the house.
Yeah.
Hope nobody
Like-
sees me.
I know this
Yeah,
is walking a
he's
little
been
weird too,
sitting
but
here with this,
Yeah.
that in the back of his
I've
leg,
been
and I
sitting like
didn't
this
notice.
the whole time. Just like leaned
Okay,
over it.
I was kind of wondering why you were sitting funny, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
Really? Y'all, I could not have been the only one that noticed.
No, you definitely were
noticed
the
he
only.
was sitting
I
weird
noticed he was
and
sitting weird, but you're the
walking
only
a
one that
little
noticed
bit.
he
No,
had
well,
something.
I was
see his
careful.
pants.
I was
Yeah.
careful to like not face anybody, and at some point you were the only one on one side of the room, and I'm like, well, she's gonna know,
Yes,
but
and
everybody
I
else. I'm
did.
Oh
trying
my
to keep it
gosh.
secret.
And when you
That
walked
was
past
amazing.
me and I followed you, and I went, "Why?"
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
Is that
Yeah.
a? Is,
Why is he
yeah.
walking like the
It's
penguin?
so, it's so great.
Like a pimp.
Because
Yeah.
I wanted to just surprise you guys with a baseball bat.
El
So there you go.
Zombie.
Man, I
That's
don't
pretty
even-
awesome.
Yeah.
So before we go to the close, at the end of this, I'll play El Zombie for everybody since we have it loaded up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like,
it'll take us into the outro.
Do we
say,
need-
I mean, I feel pretty good about that. Like, I don't know how we can top that.
That was
We got a
freaking
whole-
amazing.
We got a damn prop.
We got something
Do we need
cool.
to intro the clip and explain what's going on in there?
I said we do that, and then Mike says Veracuna.
Ronald Acuna.
Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, Ronald Acuna.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Yeah, so I play in a Sandlot league here, Oak Cliff Sandlot here in Dallas. I play for
Mike's-
the White Rock Mudbugs. Every year we do a costume baseball game where everybody comes just dressed up and in their costumes and plays baseball in costumes. It's so silly and weird. And I dressed up as Adolis El Zombie Garcia and did like, zombie makeup, and I shoved an entire load of laundry into my clothes to like have a muscle suit. Apparently I just like to put things in my clothes. And yeah, it worked out great. And then in the video you'll see it's funny now because I'm okay. I was zombie running to first base and the throw was wide. I went to duck and the first baseman caught it and tagged me right in the forehead and it jammed my neck. I like
He
and
was
it
a real
hurt really
zombie there
bad.
for a minute.
Yeah, I was almost a real life zombie. And I'm laying on the ground like, am I okay? Am I okay? But the reason it's so funny is because in the picture, and you'll see it on the video, I had stuffed 2 baseball caps full of clothes and then put them on my butt. Because Adolis Garcia has a bigger butt than me.
He does.
And so I'm just laying there on the ground and my little butt mountains are just sticking up towards the air, just like waving at the universe, like, hello world. It is funny to me because I'm not paralyzed, but yeah, that's
So of all the
video.
Rangers you covered, who has the biggest butt?
Bartolo Colon.
Facts. Maybe. No. Get a little flat-butted.
Who?
Come on, Bartolo Colon.
Oh, yeah. Got to be Big Bart.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, the butts come in different shapes and sizes. I don't mean like protrusion.
Okay.
I actually don't know that I've got an answer ready to go, but just like
Landmass.
total, yeah.
Yeah.
Total square.
Yeah, total physical
mileage.
space it consumes.
Yeah.
Then that's
That'd be
fair.
Bartolo. Yeah.
Yeah, Prince
fair.
Fielder.
I was going to say
probably.
Prince
Yeah.
might have something to say
Prince
about
is,
that, but
Prince is a big dude.
let's get them side by side.
Compare
Put that in the
butts.
wind up
You,
next
you
week.
guys, yeah, as I say, you can't like spring that on me last minute, y'all. That doesn't work very well.
Yeah. That's your
So do you
problem.
talk to Ken Rosenthal
me
about what's going to be on the newsletter every day?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Can you tell him we say hi?
I will.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't
Tell
know
him
us.
he should
Well,
come
might
on
know
your Dark
Shoopy.
Companion.
He doesn't know me.
Oh.
We would like him to come on with you next time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He'll be here for the winter meetings. You guys should reach out.
Hey, let's do it.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You got another grenade, Shoopy?
I think we're good. We got a
All
bat.
right.
We got a zombie bat.
Yes, we do. We can't ask for more.
We really can't.
I feel like that'd be a little rude.
Levi, thank you, man. It's been a
Oh,
blast
I thought he was
having
about to
you.
pull out his harmonica
your
finally.
story fascinates me to no end. You're one of the most fascinating guys that I've ever run across in my time in the game, and I've run across some real weirdos.
So are they weird whales?
Thank you.
No, they're weird. They're weird good, just offbeat. You know,
Wallabies.
just not what you think somebody who does whatever it is they do would be like. You know, and that's kind of the heading you fall under. And man, that's cool.
Well,
That's
thank you.
cool.
Yeah, the jovial ocelot.
All right, he is Levi Weaver. Check him out on the Wind Up. This has been your Dark Companion. Until our next
All right. I'm gonna go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.